eating over the holidays. So holiday season is coming up. We felt it would be a good idea to talk about this in advance, so we're kind of mid-November, because holiday season's usually, for some people, associated with lots of parties, dinners, family, friends, and food, right? And so if you're somebody who is trying to lose weight and avoid overeating, or concentrating on your blood sugars, or just simply kind of, tuning into what is right for your body, those goals can sometimes be a challenge. But mindful eating sometimes can be helpful. And so, the idea of mindfulness is really about focusing on what you're doing in the moment while you're doing it without judgment. And in the context of eating, this is really about eating according to what's good for your body. And so the author of a book called Mindful Eating, Jan Chozen-Bays, is an MD, and there's a focus on 7 different types of hunger. Okay, and these are all related to different parts in your body. So there's the nose hunger, eye, mouth, cellular, mind, heart, and stomach. And so throughout today's class, we're going to focus on those 7 different types of hunger throughout the 3 different recipes. Okay, so the first one that we're going to focus on is a dip, and really concentrating on this mouth hunger. And so mouth hunger is really that craving for a sensation in your mouth. So that could be something like creamy. So we think of creamy soups or dips, or ice cream. Or you can think about something crunchy, so chips, nuts, right? So we're going to kind of make a little bit of a spin on this. And again, just using the mindfulness approach to kind of become aware. And again, there's no judgment. So if you want that ice cream, we're not saying not to have it. It's just showing a different approach to kind of the experience of eating.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to the mouth hunger, that's really what we want to focus on for the first recipe. This is really interesting stuff. I've really never thought about it before. I heard Stephanie talk about it. I know she's very passionate about the types of hunger. But for me, oftentimes, that mouth hunger I do experience, where maybe I'm not really hungry, but I do feel like I need something crunchy right now. And then there goes the bag of chips before you even know it, right? It happens. So especially, we're talking about maybe holiday parties when we're getting into that season. Yeah, it's November, but I mean, as soon as Halloween ends, everyone gets the Christmas lights up. So we do want to start talking about, how to navigate that. Some of the healthier choices, I guess, you can make. It's not always chips. You do get like vegetable dips. There's some crunch there with the vegetables. We want to focus on a dip today because I find that a lot of times, those prepackaged veggie dips, it's great. They got a slice of raw veggies, beautiful, healthy, and they stick this big container of like ranch, full fat, creamy dressing. Doesn't really taste really good. So we want to do a different dip. We want to focus on flavor, focus on mouth hunger, so creaminess and crunchiness. We're putting it together, so the textures. And we're going to do something a little different. So this is Muhammara. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation. It's a Syrian dip, very popular in Syria, very popular in Middle Eastern cuisine in general, and it's a roasted red pepper dip. So, fairly simple. A lot of these ingredients you can find. I'll go through them one by one. The first one, roasted peppers. I love roasted peppers. When you have the opportunity, it's very simple. You take a pepper, you can either throw it under the broiler in the oven, over the barbecue, or over sort of a flame from a gas stovetop, and you want to char it until it's black, and then you peel the skin, and then you have your roasted pepper. Fantastic. The jarred version is going to save you a lot of time. There are actually really good products out there for jarred peppers, and I don't know why bell peppers have soared through the prices, the last few years. They're so expensive. They're incredibly expensive. So I actually find some of the jarred, already roasted peppers a lot cheaper as well. So if you do want to do them yourself, absolutely fantastic. Otherwise, there's nothing wrong with using jarred roasted peppers. So we have a couple red peppers in here. The next big part of this dip is walnuts. So we're toasting some walnuts, delicious. This is gonna give us that crunch. It's gonna give us that fat as well, but a better one, right?
So you're getting your omega-3s, right? Those fatty acids that your body can't make, you need to get from food. They're also really good for your heart health. So kind of compared to other, using a variety of oils are what we recommend. So this is just a different type. And like Jeremy said, you're kind of getting that extra crunch as opposed to maybe adding olive oil, which is still good, but
So roasted peppers, walnuts. I'm gonna add some garlic to this as well. Just raw garlic if you like more of that heat. If you like just more of the flavor and you want to take some of the heat away, just throw it into the oven, wrap it up, throw it into the oven for like 30 minutes, and it'll sort of caramelize a little bit. It'll take some of that harshness away. I love garlic either way, so either one. Commonly, I've had this dip, and they'll add usually like tomato paste, a little bit of tomato paste, and that'll give it sort of that big flavor bomb of tomato. I actually swapped it out. So this is sort of my Italian interpretation. I'm adding sun-dried tomatoes instead of tomato paste. Either way, just a little bit of that tomato flavor really works. And then any sort of dried spices you want. So typically cumin, coriander you can put in, a little bit of cardamom if you want. There's also, because this is from a town in Syria called Aleppo, I don't know if anyone's heard of Aleppo, they have Aleppo chilies. And sometimes you see these Aleppo chili flakes in some grocery stores. Those are typically added. If you like heat, you can add some heat. If you don't, you don't have to, right? You're in control of this. So I'm adding a little bit of cumin and a little bit of those chili flakes. They're not super spicy. They just have a nice flavor to it. A little bit of lemon juice as well. To that for some tartness. Make sure not to put the seeds in. And then...
Or then you'd get another crunch. But
yeah, another crunch. Not a good crunch. No, you don't want that crunch. And then the last thing that is traditional for this dip is pomegranate syrup, or sometimes called pomegranate molasses. Does anyone use pomegranate syrup, pomegranate molasses? Yes, okay, a couple people. So you can find this at some grocery stores. Definitely at Middle Eastern grocery stores, they will have this. Yes, Adonis will have it for sure. Yeah, so some Middle Eastern grocery stores will have it. It's essentially pomegranate juice, and it's cooked down into a syrup. Very tasty. It almost gives you a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of tartness, a little bit of sourness. Yes, and we're gonna add about a tablespoon of this, so not too much.
Yeah. So yeah.
Very thick, like a molasses.
Yeah. So obviously it comes from a fruit, but it's what's the word?
Concentrated?
Concentrated, yes. So it doesn't necessarily, just because it's coming from a fruit, remember we always talk about, whole fruits being counted as a fruit. So wouldn't necessarily count this as a fruit. Obviously it's a natural sugar.
Yeah.
So that's great, but it's still, additional sugar that's boosts up the flavor, but something that you might want to kind of...
Yeah, you don't add it every day.
Right, but also the fact that, while you're making your own dips, and this might be something that you bring to, a family gathering or something, that what's in those ingredients, because you have control over how much and what's going in, as opposed to something that's maybe store-bought.
Yeah, so a tablespoon of that. We're gonna add a little bit of olive oil to this. I'm gonna add about a tablespoon now, and I might adjust after if I need. And just a little pinch of salt. You can add some black pepper if you want. And that's it, lid on. And we're gonna pulse this. I don't want this to be super, super smooth. I do want some of that texture. So, sorry? No, not like hummus. Now there's not a lot of liquid, so it won't get too smooth to begin with. All right, I'm gonna add just a little bit more olive oil to this. It's my little squeeze bottle. Control it. Pretty much you want the walnuts to break down a little bit. And maybe once I'll go in just to scrape down the sides if anything has climbed up, but this is looking really good. It smells really good. It's definitely a lot more exciting than your store-bought vegetable dips. Okay, done. Beautiful. So if you find that it's too wet, sometimes breadcrumbs or like pita chips, dried pita chips are added to this to sort of soak up some of that excess moisture. I find that I like it like this, a little on the creamier side. So that's what we're looking at here. And it's beautiful color,
Yeah.
lots of flavor.
Yeah, and so, when we're looking at food, right, the way that things look is so much a part of our sensory, right? Another type of hunger is eye hunger. So when you think of, maybe you just went to a restaurant, you finished your meal, and then you look over at the person next to you who's having this beautiful dessert. You know you're feeling full, but you have room for that dessert, right? So eye hunger also plays a huge role in, how much or what you're eating. And so again, part of that mindful practice is kind of tapping into that eye hunger, the other 7 different types of hunger. And so this doesn't mean like have it or don't have it. It just kind of means being more aware of that. And so for people who are looking to increase their weight, right? So making foods really nice and presentable, well, that's triggering their appetite. But same for the flip side. So for those who need to lose weight, don't want to overeat, really making a beautiful presentation can, slow down, making them more mindful of the foods that they are having.
Yeah, absolutely. So the dip alone, I know you can see on the screen, I'm going to tilt it a little bit here, is beautiful, really nice, vibrant color. So to finish it, like Stephanie said, eye hunger, really important. I think most chefs focus on eye hunger. They want things to look good. So we'll add some fresh mint on top of that. And again, this is optional. And we have pomegranate syrup in here. And I'm sure you're seeing lots of pomegranates now in the grocery store. So we'll add some pomegranates to this as well. And the pomegranates, if you've ever had a pomegranate seed before, you know that it's definitely playing to your mouth hunger, right?
It's very crunchy.
Crunchy, it has that texture. We have smooth and creaminess from the dip. And maybe just a little bit more olive oil on top. And some more mint, and that's it. If I don't leave this, it'll never stop. But that is the Muhammara Dip.
Yeah. And you can have it with something that's crunchy, right?
Oh yeah, something that's crunchy. I forgot about that.
So, obviously some sort of cracker or vegetable like a carrot, but here we're serving it with endive.
Yeah, some crunchy vegetables. Again, traditionally you probably serve with pita, so you can definitely use some they have whole wheat pita. You can toast that up. It's a little bit different, but definitely a nice choice. Yeah, beautiful. All right, that's our first.